It's hard to describe exactly what we've witnessed here over Manhattan in the last hour and a half. We are still stationed over 79th Street looking south. There's been a 5-mile security perimeter set up around the World Trade Center by the police department. World Trade Center number 2, the North Tower here, continues to burn out of control. And initially, remembering that the first plane hit this building at 8:45 this morning, the second plane hit the south building just at 9 o'clock, and then that building subsequently collapsed shortly after 10 o'clock. We actually witnessed the second plane strike the south tower. From our vantage point, we were actually southwest of the World Trade Center coming out of our base, and the plane actually flew over our heads and directly flush into the south face of the south tower and exploded into flames immediately. That tower continued to burn for quite some time, and then again it subsequently collapsed down onto itself. Meanwhile, obviously the airspace in the area, that is all shut down. Newark, Kennedy, and LaGuardia accepting no flights, and there are no departures as well. Teterboro airspace is closed. In essence, the entire airspace around New York City has been closed down. Currently, as far as a perimeter around the area, in the skies, obviously, today you would have to consider the skies a threat, and currently NYPD is operating their helicopters very close to the building, assisting state police agencies. I know New York State Police is down there, New Jersey State Police is down there as well, and interestingly enough, we, about 10 minutes ago, saw military fighter jets circling above Manhattan at about 2,500 feet, which is obviously something that you don't see here, and that is a security measure to prevent any further action from being taken. So that's the update from the sky right now. World Trade Center, the North Tower, continues to burn out of control, as it has since it was first struck by a plane at 8:45. The South World Trade Center tower has tragically collapsed. Really a momentous day in the history of the world as we witness this on the lower side of Manhattan. Yes, I can just about make you out. If you speak slowly enough, I can answer all the questions you have. Well, what they are trying to do right now, that order went out. We heard that order go out from Newark Airport's control tower a few minutes ago. That also has to do with a lot of commercial, with transient traffic, corporate traffic that comes in and out of the city, helicopters, corporate jets going into Teterboro Airport. They are being asked to find an airport outside of the area, find an airport other than Teterboro, Newark, LaGuardia, or Kennedy to go land at if New York City is their destination, because this airspace is immediately closed down. And as a matter of fact, I can tell you the only reason that we're really being allowed to stay in here is because the controllers know us. They know the end number on the aircraft. They know who we are. But I would venture a guess to say that we also will be removed from the airspace entirely. And I would guess that that's going to happen momentarily. As we said, we saw F-16 fighter jets circling over Manhattan just within the last 15 minutes or so. So they are obviously going to set up a very tight perimeter. Well, that's another question, because as these events continue to happen, Captain Paul and myself are trying to figure out the best and the safest way to bring this story to you. It is hard to tell from this point, again, because I am exactly 5 miles away from it. But there's the shot of the North Tower, and if you line it up with the buildings down on the ground, Bill, I can't really give you an honest opinion on that. I will tell you that the fire, again, this plane crashed into about the 80th floor, and you'll see a gaping hole in the building. I'll brighten it up for you there. The fire appears to be spreading rather than subsiding. And again, obviously there's firefighting issues trying to get water up that high. But I really can't tell you whether or not the building is leaning or not.
As we see some video here coming in right now, obviously from the scene, developing a very chaotic situation. These from our crews down there, and they have been working diligently. We're getting word of some schools closing, or getting more definition of that, and for parents who may have concerns about that, 3 area high schools have been evacuated. They are Leadership and Public Service, the Economics and Science High School, and both of those are located at 100 Trinity Place, and Murray Bertram, 411 Pearl Street. All other students, we're told, are being kept in the schools under heightened security right now. Parents and only parents are allowed to pick the kids up. Parents and only parents, so we need to stress that. Parents and only parents being allowed to pick the children up. The following schools have been identified now for triage operations for the treatment of the injured. That's Stuyvesant High School, which is at Chambers and West Side Highway, and PS 234, as well as PS 89. We should also note that we are told that Mayor Giuliani will be having a news conference, although of course that's...
Hey Jimmy, are you there? Hey Jimmy, can you copy me? Oh my God. Jimmy, the second tower just went.
And you do not have a parent there. I don't know what to advise you. If you can understand this.
It's hard for an adult to understand.
Words cannot describe this. The North Tower of the World Trade Center, the second 110-foot structure that marks the landmark, that is a landmark of New York and Manhattan, and indeed the United States, has just collapsed.
And if you look at the timeline in which all of this has taken place in such a short period of time, 8:45 until now at 10:29.
Nina Pineda, can you hear us? Are you on the line at all, Nina? Nina is just a few blocks from there. And we do not have her amidst the chaos. We have not heard from Joe Torres. This is just so tragic that it's almost ridiculous to say, to try to talk through this. It is so horrific.
Until today, the worst act of terrorism on American soil was of course, the bombing in Oklahoma City, an act of domestic terrorism, as it turned out. It pales, as horrible and as horrifying as it was, it pales in comparison to this.
Jim, these are live pictures, we're told.
You can see the smoke still on the ground, still filling the air there. This is obviously Lower Manhattan. We're trying to get an exact location. These are not live pictures because there was just an edit in there. So
on a Tuesday in September, after Labor Day, the second Tuesday, this is a teeming business district, and it has been turned into chaos. This is earlier. Can we go back to the live pictures if possible?
An hour and a half in which the world in the United States has changed dramatically. Sense of security has changed dramatically as at least 4 separate attacks on American soil against 4 symbols of American might.
You saw the picture of the Empire State Building standing in back of that smoke. John Del Giorno, can you hear me?